And on that point about algorithms, this has been a topic that's gotten more attention both in the US and in Europe following the revelations from Facebook whistleblower Frances Haugen. Have her revelations, the documents she brought forward about the inner workings of the social network, influenced the work that you're doing, particularly on the online safety bill?
I mean, they were incredibly, the work she's done was incredibly helpful to the work the Joint Committee did on the online safety bill. And in fact, her first public appearance in Europe was giving evidence to the Joint Committee in Westminster. What she's demonstrated, I think, are two or three really important things. Firstly, that the companies do, or companies like Facebook, do a huge amount of internal research on the impact of those services. But those research documents are not publicly available. So Facebook researched the impact of Instagram on the mental health and the levels of anxiety and depression amongst teenage girls who use the service. That highlighted amongst the research group, I think between 20 and 30%, depending on UK and US, were suffering heightened levels of anxiety and depression. Well, shouldn't we get to know that too? Shouldn't independent regulators get to understand these are the impacts that the service could have? And who gets to decide then what action is taken as a consequence? At the moment, these are only internal conversations that happen within a company like Facebook. And I think they should be challenged on the decisions they make, but we can only do that if we have access to the information that they have access to. And that's why in the online safety bill, the idea of empowering an independent regulator with the right to have access to data and information, documents from within companies, means we can see what they can see and we can understand the impact some of their services are having. So I think Frances Haugen's evidence really brought that home. The second thing I think she really emphasized when she gave evidence to the committee and in her public remarks elsewhere is the fact that we talk about the algorithm of a company like Facebook, and sometimes it's extraordinary to hear people like Nick Clegg say, well, you can have the algorithm or you can have no algorithm and just a load of spam, as if it's one thing or the other. Whereas when we talk about the algorithms, we're talking about thousands of data points. They can be changed. The data drawn into the decision-making process can be changed. And what's more, Frances Haugen discussed, that the company does that all the time. It changes the settings, it experiments. And I thought was very interesting in looking at how Facebook sought to act against disinformation during the US presidential election. But that had a negative impact on engagement with the platform. And so they changed it. They changed the settings for commercial reasons to make sure engagement stayed high and that mitigating harmful disinformation was allowed because it was good for engagement on the platform. These sorts of decisions that the companies make can have a big consequence on not just people's experience on those platforms, but in people's real world behaviors. And therefore, they need to be challenged and held to account on the decisions they make. But to do that, we need to understand that. At the moment, be it through the work Frances Haugen's done or a few years ago on things like Cambridge Analytica, we are reliant on whistleblowers coming forward. We are reliant on evidence given to congressional and parliamentary hearings to give us insights, and indeed the work of investigative journalists, to give us insights into what's going on. But these companies' platforms affect our daily lives, and I think there needs to be far more scrutiny and accountability for the decisions they make.